Hello, my friends. I'm going to talk to you today about the forest spirit of Slavic mythology called Leshy. It was well known throughout forest areas of Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland. The character appeared in one episode of the Supernatural television series. But being honest, I was confused because in the series they completely changed the original image. I wondered why. As to me, the original image was even scarier. People who had to walk through the forest were afraid of Leshy. It actually did not eat humans like it was shown in the series, but the spirit was naughty, and its pranks were rather harmful. Leshy is considered a shapeshifter. It could turn into a bear, other animals, and even a human. Anyway, no matter what it turned into, there was always something strange in its appearance in comparison with common living beings. The boots looked small because instead of normal feet, Leshy had hooves. It might wear clothes inside out or have different colored eyes. There had to be a hint to its wild origin. For example, tree bark or fur instead of some human skin, and maybe little horns under its head hair. If one faced Leshy, the person had to keep a distance and not to touch it. If the Leshy was called intentionally, it could share useful information, but it did require a gift for that. The spirit liked to make fun of people. Often it just intimidated strangers with its loud, scary laughing. It also used the supernatural power to deceive humans and make them get lost in the deep forest or the swamp. It was able to drive people crazy, especially ones who violated the unwritten agreement, and the agreement was usually provided by a witch. The person who wanted to get help from Leshy had to refuse some activities, and the information was considered to be transferred through the witch, and she made a special night ritual to contact the spirit. The person who applied for help generally refused to eat some kinds of wild berries and had to refuse to sleep with their spouse within the summertime. Usually the help was asked by shepherds to avoid losing cows or preventing attacks on the livestock by bears and wolves. Sometimes there was mentioned a cow that had gotten lost in the forest. That one was considered as a gift to Leshy. The cow's owner was not usually told that until the cow had already gotten lost. If a shepherd violated the conditions, Leshy got upset and revenged in a way. The person could become insane, get lost himself, or die. In folklore, there was nothing found about violating the agreement by Leshy itself. In the 21st century, people in some areas continued to tell stories about seeing Leshy. There are some common subjects in these stories. Leshy makes fun of a hunter, makes fun of drunk men in the forest. Leshy steals or helps to find a cow. Leshy intimidates people by its supernatural abilities, such as shape and size shifting, scary loud laughing, driving people crazy. Often in the stories, Leshy turns into a Soviet soldier or into a group of strange people. For example, I was told a story about Leshy that turned into a bunch of schoolboys, and they all had the same face, looked emotionless, and ran non-stop back and forth in the deep forest of Arkhangelsk, region of Russia. They kept running around until the teller left the forest. When he came to a small village which was several miles from the place and had no school, locals said that they saw the boys many times before and connected them to Leshy. These tales are called Bailichka in Russian. The people who tell them definitely believe in the subject and can also look very scared when they tell them. I cannot say what they actually saw in the forest, but these kinds of stories are the traditional part of local folklore and known for centuries. The intimidation by Leshy could also be caused by humans who got in the wrong place at the wrong time. There were a few days in a year when people avoided going to the forest. These days were considered as weddings of the forest spirits. Yes, Leshy had its family. Leshy's wife was called Leshachita. No, Leshashita. Leshashita. Shit. Leshy's wife was called Leshashiha, and their children were called Leshashata. As we see in Slavic folklore stories, Leshy could change human babies for its children. These kind of children were called wild ones. They looked strange or got sick easily. There were special rituals to get one's baby back from Leshy. The spirits liked to play card games in their forest. If people saw just only a few animals in a forest, they said that a local Leshy had lost its animals in a game with a Leshy from a different forested area. Peasants thought that Leshy got in the soil in October and hibernated there until the following spring. The time when Leshy was going to sleep was considered wrong to walk in the forest as well. So, Leshy was really perceived by people as unpredictable and a potentially harmful creature, but at the same time it was not depicted as absolute evil.